All right. So checking in. All right. So we are live on the channel. Uh, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another Conscious Approach video. My name, as always, is JV Wins. Checking in with my boy Dogon SS for this week's garden variety social commentary and all the other sweet things going on in the world. We're gonna start off talking about Yeezy, our good man Yeezy. Yeezy is one of these guys who is a content factory. He is a machine for content. Kanye West recently, I guess you can say he took some heat. There was some backlash because his new Yeezy Gap line dropped recently, and it dropped. He had like his premiere in New York City, and the media and everybody was there, and people criticized Kanye because he was selling this premier clothing line out of what appeared to be black trash bags. And so I guess, people had a problem with this. They were wondering why it is that this guy is selling his clothing out of trash bags. He wanted to provide some clarity with respect to his mindset behind that. So he spoke to the New York media in order to clarify why he has his Yeezy Gap clothing being sold out of black trash bags. And so we're going to play Kanye's explanation of what's going on here, and then we'll react to what he had to say, as well as our general analysis of this whole Yeezy Gap situation. Is it muted? I can't hear anything.
Themselves with what they want to buy.
Yeah, my bad. So hold on. Let me double it back.
And informal, so that we can all basically dress in the dark.
Because that was the old setup without the mic. Hopefully ain't no echo.
Because that will make innovators.
All right, there you go.
He told me that we should not clown the creators, in his words, of the innovators, because that will make innovators and other designers and people who design and invent things less brave. He also points out that these are not garbage bags, as has been reported, but large construction bags. The reason he put the clothes in there, they're folded, is to make people be able to just informally reach in and help themselves with what they want to buy. He says his goal is to make life easier and informal, so that we can all basically dress in the dark.
This is like not a joke. This is not a game. This is not just some celebrity collaboration. This is my life. I'm fighting for a position to be able to change clothing and bring the best design to the people.
Well, as you may know, he is deeply religious, a Christian. He says he felt that it was God's plan to put him here together with me for this exclusive interview to tell our Fox viewers what he sees as the truth regarding what he's doing here with his clothing. I'm told that, by the way, that his Yeezy Gap line has sold out immediately across the country. So certainly the publicity caused by this controversy, what people are saying on social media and elsewhere, certainly would probably help his sales. He's off to London now to keep on designing. He has no apologies to make at all, and says he is trying to help people, the less fortunate across the country, by making it easier to dress. And maybe I should be in one of these T-shirts as opposed to
why aren't you?
A jacket and button-down
should
shirt.
be wearing a hoodie.
Wow.
Okay, so there is a bunch of nuggets in there. A couple things that I want to address. I'll let you go first. But an interesting thing about there was talking about, wanting people to dress in the
Your
dark.
mattress shouldn't buckle under pressure, because a mattress that buckles doesn't provide the support you need.
All right, my bad. Damn, ad started playing after the video. But yeah, my bad.
So
But,
how did you feel about what Kanye had going on with the trash bags and the whole philosophy behind his clothing line, and just his remarks about defending what it was that he was doing?
I don't know what his explanation didn't make sense to me. I don't know why them being in trash bags makes it easier to put on. And in the dark. So none of it makes sense to me, but it's hilarious to me. And I love everything about it. Whatever his vision is for his fashion design, it's always been this rags kind of appearance. And this fits the bill now with them actually being in trash bags, when before they were literally looking like trash bags or something that I would throw in a trash bag. So now he's designed clothes, and now instead of having them on merch tables, he now has them in construction bags, not trash bags. I don't know why construction is so better than trash. I guess because it's building something when you're putting it on. Construction. Play on words there. I mean, he is a musician, so I have no idea. I think this is hilarious, though. I love Kanye for stuff like this, because who else is going to do this? So it gives me good entertainment. It's good fodder, and I definitely got a good chuckle out of it. So how about yourself, bro? How do you feel about this?
So there was one part at the end of that interview where the news anchor guy said that part of what he's doing with this line is to bring fashion and clothing to like the less fortunate or something along those lines.
Yeah, what the hell?
So that part piqued my interest. So I went onto the Yeezy Gap website, and I'm looking at some of the stuff on this website. He's got a snake bag for $140. There is the logo no seam tee. It's an oversized t-shirt for $120. A sateen cargo pant, which looks like oversized jogger pants, for $220. There is a long sleeve logo tee for $120. A Dove hoodie for $240. I don't exactly know what a Dove hoodie is or what distinguishes a Dove hoodie from a non-Dove hoodie, but nevertheless, it costs $240.
Right.
There is a loose tank top. So a regular tank top costs $80. A woman tank top, second skin. Again, I don't know what second skin means, but that's $60. Dove shrunken hoodie, $240. Dove 3/4 sleeve tee, oversized t-shirt where the sleeves are too long, costs $140. Women's long sleeve bodysuit, $300. So right. You get the picture. I don't quite know what about $80 tank tops and $240 hoodies translates to helping the less fortunate or the needy become more fashion sensed. That type of logic I'm not understanding. But see, the key with this, and this is what brings us back around to Kanye, is if we don't get it, it just means we're not smart enough to get it. And see, that's his whole point, is his genius is so beyond the pale of normal comprehension that if you were to question it in any kind of way, it simply means that you just don't get it. You're not smart enough. You're not intelligent enough. You're not introspective enough to fully grasp the full scope of his genius. And so therefore he has no time to waste trying to explain it to you. Hence why he can be as defensive. Hence why he can be as defensive with the media. That's why he can be as defensive as he wants with the media, because in his mind, psychologically, any dissension towards what he's doing is an indication that you're just not smart enough. It's a Kyrie Irving factor. Kyrie Irving does very similar things. Kyrie Irving says, I'm going to tell you the world is flat.
Yes.
I'm going to, wag sage all over the court and in the locker room, even if it's an infringement on other people. I am going to suggest that I don't have to follow conventional rules that everyone else has to follow. And if you question that, it means you don't get it. And in the case with somebody like Kyrie Irving, it must also means that you must be somehow inherently racist, because Kyrie Irving takes it even that far.
Yeah.
But this is typical celebrity artistic narcissism. I find it entertaining. I find it funny, but it strikes me as a reminder that some of these people are so enveloped in their own narcissism that they are tone deaf and don't even realize that the stuff that they're saying doesn't make sense. But again, for them, and it must be really nice to live in this type of world, but if you're so tone deaf that what you're saying doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter, because for you, if other people think you're not making sense, it just means that those people aren't smart. So that's pretty much initially how I felt about this. This is just Kanye being Kanye, which is, what I'm doing is genius, and you shouldn't question it. Questioning it must mean that you just don't get genius. So,
Yes.
and the whole trash bag thing, construction bag thing, to me, I don't see why you can't just put your clothes on a hanger and hang it on a rack. But putting it in a construction bag must mean that you have, like, it's just, let me do it as unconventional as possible, because that's my brand. My brand is to be unconventional and off the wall. Even if it's contrived and on purpose, I'm still going to do it, because that's what I have. My moniker is as such. I've made my name doing this. So let me put it in construction bags and then tell you that they're in construction bags because it's easier to get. They're easier to grab by putting them in construction bags. So, this is Kanye being Kanye. I get it. I personally think it's silly. And I do roll my eyes at people like him and Kyrie Irving who try to tell me that I'm not smart enough to understand what they're putting out, because I consider myself to be a pretty smart guy. But nevertheless, I come to anticipate this kind of stuff from people like this. And Kanye is no different.
So here's, that was very well said. So here's the plot twist. You do understand what they're doing, because you literally explained what they're doing. And that's the genius behind it. Because there's people who aren't taking those mental steps to understand what they're doing. And then so those people get caught in the wave and they believe in Jesus. And so when you hear those Yeezy, when those Kanye stands come out and they're just out here just worshiping the guy and stuff like that, that's his intent. And so here's what I also think he's doing. So him making it more affordable to be fashionable. Well, he's already a fashion guru. You just don't know that yet. So when the fashion guru, and when I say you, I mean the world.
Yeah, right.
And then when he releases something in the fashion world, because he's being marginalized and he's not being allowed within the gates of the whole fashion industry. And if you really bought a Balenciaga hoodie, I think it'll run you more than $200.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought a what you call that, Supreme hoodie, that'll cost you more than $200, and that's not even designer. So Kanye is making Louis, Fender, Prada quality designs for the affordable at Gap, no different than Starberry sneakers or Shaqs at Walmart. Now, granted, that's a whole different type of thing, but I think it's within that same lane of I'm making high-end fashionable stuff. And so for the less fortunate, or whatever the hell, see, when we think less fortunate, we think people that are really down and out.
Who are actually less fortunate.
But yes, but on his planet, people living check to check, those people are less fortunate, but they still want to be dressed in the latest and flyest shit. So get some Yeezys out of trash bag, and then now, now you're wearing high end fashion. And part of the trash bags is, and like you said, it's part of his brand. And I was making jokes about it before. His other stuff looked like hobo gear, and it's like, bro,
I think this looks like hobo gear.
Yeah, and I can buy a hoodie and cut holes in it, throw some bleach stains on it, wash it like 10 times and dry it like 10 times, and now it look like crap. but I put my name on it. And now everybody, you know, the bots. And, I'm wearing the Dove hoodie. You got the Dove hoodie. And it's like, what? What? My bad. What was that boy name from New York? I got that Dove hoodie. That sound like what's that boy? Rest in peace, bro. Though. But that Smoke. Is that Pop Smoke? I think it's so.
Pop Smoke, yeah. Pop.
Yeah. I ain't mean to sound like him with the. But yeah, man, people out there wearing the Dove hoodies, it's gonna be a thing, and I'm for it. I'm here for the shenanigans. But you articulated everything they're doing. And so, and I'll give you one more angle, and you are absolutely correct when it comes to their narcissism, celebrity narcissism, whatever. And so there's people who, and they feel like in order to be successful, they have to be out of their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to be in this space where they're so unique and they're so whatever that it's what helps them be creative over regular people. And so when Kanye and Kyrie, when they're doing stuff like that, yeah, it's kind of like, bro, why are you trying to be different on purpose? But their whole thing is, like you said, that's my genius. And you are failing to realize because you're trying to stay in this cookie cutter, you know, type of reality where I live outside of the box, man.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where they're at. And I think but to Ye, and that's why I think it's so funny. And that's why I just crack up whenever he's doing his latest stuff, because it's gonna ruffle feathers. Same thing with Kyrie. Whenever they're doing that stuff, and it's just like it doesn't ruffle. I know it doesn't ruffle your feathers, but it still gets people like, what are they, you know, what are they? Mm-hmm. But to me, it's comedy because I know where they're coming from and I get it. I don't know exactly what his logic is, but I think more or less what we're discussing is kind of the ballpark. But he lives that, and that's the crazy part. This is his reality, and he's gonna wake up the next day and think of something else because he is godly, and he is living in his godliness. Yeah, that's what he thinks, and he's living in his godliness, and he's creating in God's name, and he's giving people, and he's being like a what do you call that? A conduit, a liaison between God and the world. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what his whole little shtick is, and he really believes it. And I'm here for the comedy.
Yeah, I hear that he believes it, and clearly he does. There's a certain aspect of what people like Kanye and Kyrie do that, for me, it's so contrived that, you know, I really find myself saying, are there people out there who really believe you? But clearly there are, because, you know, these people do have their legions of zombie fans. Mm-hmm. It's just, it takes, like I said before, it takes a certain special kind of narcissism to do this and really do in your mind believe that you're doing what you claim to be doing, which is like helping the less fortunate. Like when Shaq made his shoe, Shaq was trying to provide an alternative for people who couldn't afford $200 Jordans. Mm-hmm. So Shaq literally made a shoe that cost $65 and put it in Payless. Like, Shaq wasn't being a narcissist. He was actually trying to provide cool shoes marketed by a professional athlete who's popular to people who can't afford to go wait in a long line at Foot Locker for $200 Jordans. Mm-hmm. Starberry, to a lesser degree, was attempting to do the same thing. It's just that Stephon Marbury is not as popular as Shaq, and he wasn't the player that Shaq was. But $65 versus $200 Jordans is a conceivable thing for me to grasp in terms of, oh, I actually see what it is that he's trying to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you kick the game that you're trying to help the less fortunate, and I understand what you're saying to those who want to buy Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton and all of that, where you're going to spend $2,000 on a hoodie or a bag, right. $240 is a drop in the bucket by comparison. So I completely get that, but you have to be aware of the words that you're using. And if you're as much of a genius as you are, you have to understand that stating that this is for the less fortunate is not going to make sense. In a vacuum, it doesn't matter whether it's $240 compared to $2,000. The less fortunate, quote unquote, can't buy your stuff anyway. So really what this is for people who have discretionary income, who can afford to spend $240 on a hoodie, but just don't want to spend $2,000 on Louis Vuitton or whatever the case may be. And that's fine. But don't say that don't tell me that what you're doing is for the less fortunate, and that if I contend your notion that this is for the less fortunate, furthermore, that it must mean that I'm just not smart enough. That's where I'll draw the line on stuff like that. But otherwise, I would say to people like Kanye, man, just, use your words carefully. But it is what it is. In his mind, he doesn't have to, because you should just know what he means, because he's genius. So I get it. It's just still annoying. It's interesting. Like, I wonder whether Albert Einstein walked around in his mind saying, I'm a genius. Like, actual geniuses. Like, I wonder whether Albert Einstein, when he was alive back in the day, was walking around going, man, I'm a genius. If y'all don't get it, y'all just don't know. I'm a genius. And, Stephen Hawking, people like this. Like, I wonder if Stephen Hawking, in his mind, when he's rolling around in his wheelchair, is like, yeah, I'm a genius, man. Why aren't you guys appreciating how much of a genius I am? There's a self-aggrandizing aspect to what people like Kanye do that I find entertaining, but it's no more than that. For me, it's not insightful. It's not smart. It's not next level thinking. It's not introspective. It's just entertaining. And that's where the buck stops for me. And, I think it would behoove many more people to also glean this type of stuff as entertainment and nothing more.
Well, I hear that, and I'll finish with this. I look at this as inspiration, and I'm gonna grab some hoodies that are Goodwill, wash them, bleach them, cut them, throw them in bags, and put a $200 price tag on it, and call it designer. This man is a genius. He just gave me a good idea. So
I guess.
nah, but be bold. I think that's his thing. Be bold, be you, be unique. But all that other stuff, like he's trying to save the world by charging people $200 for trash that he literally put in trash bags. Yeah, that is a joke. That is a joke.
Tell you, boy, the society is crook, man. It is, boy. I'm reminded of that Jay-Z line from Blueprint 2. And mind you, he was referring to a person who actually is highly intelligent. He was talking about Nas, and he was like, hey, man, because a guy wear kufi, it don't mean that he bright. And, and I'm reminded of that line. He didn't use the word guy. He used a different word that I'm not going to use on this video. But nevertheless, that's what I'm reminded of. And it's like, hey, man, listen, the guy telling you that he's genius, you can believe him if you want, but be cautious. But I also hear what you're saying. Use it to your advantage. I hope it works out for you. Don't sell it to me. I'm not buying your $200.
All right, bro. Somebody gonna buy it.
Somebody would be a fool and buy it. It just won't be me. But otherwise, though, that's what's up. Good luck to Kanye and the construction bag Yeezy Gap overpriced, oversized clothing. Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and end it on that note, man. Next up, we're gonna talk about a video that I came across on World Star. This content creator is talking about, and again, we've talked about this subject on multiple occasions: relationships, how to be successful in them, so on and so forth. This gentleman here is talking about why certain women fail, and one of the aspects of why certain women fail is because they don't know when to detect a man who is emotionally unattracted to women, but just wants women for other reasons. And I think his logic is you should want to go for a guy who not only is physically attracted to women, but is also emotionally attracted to women. And y'all women out here need to do a much better job of being able to detect when you're dealing with a guy who is emotionally unattracted to women. So bear in mind, we're talking about two different things here. Okay, we're talking about guys who physically, so these aren't DL guys or guys who don't like women physically. We're talking about guys who are heterosexual, but otherwise are not emotionally attracted to women. And he's suggesting getting with a guy like that is basically setting yourself up for failure in relationships. So I think that's pretty much what he's saying. So we'll go ahead and play this, and then we'll talk about how much sense or lack thereof this guy is making.
There's so many men that don't like women, but they're sexually unattracted to men, and they have no choice but to deal with you. And they act like it, don't they? Like, these men don't like women for real. They don't bond with women. They don't emotionally connect with women. They prefer to be around men. They respect men. They get along with men. They see men as their equals. They do not view you as it. But the only reason they're with you is because they're not sexually attracted to the men. If it wasn't for sex or power, they wouldn't be with you. I need y'all to watch out for these men. Like, actually, like, inquire about whether this man actually like women. Not if you're heterosexual. My question to you is, do you actually like women?
All right now, brother. All right.
All right. So do you buy any of that?
Oh, absolutely. And I see it every day. And I hear it on songs all the time. And so it's a weird dynamic, man. And I didn't notice this until I was probably like a few years out of high school. And I'm out there in the world. I'm meeting different people outside of people I knew since elementary school. And I'm just getting, a flavor of whatever's going on in the world. And I realized that some dudes that I would run into, their disdain for women was I don't want to call it gay because it's not gay, but it's like, why do you hate them so much? And it's just like there's just a dislike. It's use, abuse, use them as tools, pawns, and always hanging out with the guys. Now, granted, you can hang out with your homeboys, but there's a difference, And between hanging out with your homeboys or being roommates with your homeboys, and then always being with the boys. And I realized that we got a lot of that going on, and especially nowadays with the younger generation and all this gang stuff and all this hanging around stuff. And it's just like the music promotes it, the culture promotes it, honestly. And it promotes this ideology that you really don't need a woman, money over bitches. I have sex with her, then I kick her out. I do. Well, we've been hearing this since freaking, I don't know, late 90s or whatever. It's been a while since this stuff has been pumped into generations of people's heads. And so now I really think that, I feel like it's kind of always been a thing, but I feel like it's gotten more pervasive. And so I agree with him. I think there are men out there who only view women as vaginas and throats, and that's all they're good for. And trying to build an emotional connection or bond is out of the question. So I think it's a phenomenon, and I think he's on to something. So how do you feel about it?
Okay, so before I give you my take, let me ask you a question, and I'm legitimately asking this.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that women, despite everything that you just laid out, oftentimes elect to get with guys like this?
Because I think what's gone on is that there's a primal link to that behavior that shows a level of masculinity in the sense that they're not being quote unquote emotional. And so that is attractive because it looks like masculine frame. What has ended up happening through sociology, and this is all cultures at this point that got the attacked with this stuff that men don't or can't show emotion, or men smoke, women don't, whatever. And it's just this whole thing, men get, womanizing, all this stuff. So I think what ended up happening was that they're attracted to that, like I said, that primal connection of, all right, he's a man, I'm a woman. He's logic based, I'm emotional based. I don't want to see my man act emotional. And then the bad boy image and other things that gets propagated and played up. I think that's where women go, well, he's more attractive than this guy over here that tells me that he loves me. Because this guy over here that told me that he loved me, he's not being in his masculine frame. So at least, I know there's more to it, but I think that's a bit of an angle to it, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think to a certain extent, you use the word primal. That's a pretty good word. I would use the word instinctual. I think to a certain extent, there are certain instinctual, intrinsic needs that we as people, but women specifically, prioritize, and they use that prioritized list in order to determine whether getting with a certain type of guy is worth it or not. So essentially, what I think personally, what I think happens is, I think that what this guy is saying is correct, but I think that in a perfect world with all things equal, what he is saying would apply. But what happens in the real world, where all things are unequal because the world is inherently unfair, is things like hypergamy take precedence over the need to be with somebody who is emotionally stable. So, in other words, you can get 10, and this is just my speculation, but you can get 10 women and line them up in a row, right? 10 women in a room, and you can put all 10 of those women in a room, and you can put, two guys in the room. One guy is emotionally coherent and is not what this guy is describing in terms of, this is a guy who actually emotionally likes women, right? So he's describing the kind of guy from a quality standpoint whom you should look to be with, because that'll give you the greatest chance of being successful. That's one of the guys. And then the other kind of guy is a guy who is the opposite of that, but can fulfill certain intrinsic needs that you desire, such as affording you with a certain kind of lifestyle, being able to provide you with certain things monetarily that you've always wanted, being able to do things for you materialistically and otherwise that the other guy cannot do. And so you give those 10 women the option to pick one of those two guys. I'm willing to bet that at least 80% of those women, so 8 out of 10, are going to exercise what I call hypergamy and go with the guy who can provide them with the things that they want in life, irregardless of whether that guy has the emotional intelligence to give them a successful relationship that's going to stand the test of time. So it goes back to this innate thing that women have, that women do. And I think I talked about this a while on another video that we have. I have a female friend and we talked about this. And she at least was self-aware enough to admit to me that one of her biggest challenges has to do with the fact that she has, for pretty much the entirety of her life, been unable to reconcile what her vagina wants with what her head tells her is best for her. And oftentimes what the vagina wants is what ends up winning. And so what the vagina is telling her is, go with the guy with the money, with the status, with the social prestige, and some of these other maybe physical characteristics that you think you like because you find them to be exciting, not boring, which is another thing that they kind of get into. So maybe guys with crazy haircuts or tattoos, go with those guys. And ultimately you're going to ride the wave, and you're going to take advantage of it for as long as you can, but eventually the buck stops, right? And once the buck stops, you get off the bus and you just wait until the next bus approaches, and then you hop on that bus and essentially repeat the cycle. And so you have a lot of women who are kind of caught up in this web. They're just caught up in this pattern of exercising this type of option, which is counterintuitive to what is their head is telling them is the best thing for them to do, and they can't get out of their own way. And they spend a lot of their time waiting for perfection, waiting for the kind of guy who on the outside and who emotionally is a unicorn, but who is also, you know, a 6-figure, 6'6" tall guy with tattoos and a beard and a crazy stylish haircut. And rarely are you going to find all of those qualities inherent in one guy. If you ask me, I think that this is an issue that is more endemic with Black people, in my opinion. At least my observation is that I see this type of stuff playing out more with Black people. And I don't think that it is a coincidence that this guy, who is a Black content creator, is talking about this. I think he speaks from a place of personal experience when he makes commentary like this. And I don't think it's off base. I just think that at this point in our society, we're far removed from the practical application of how women go about exercising their options, which is lifestyle and accommodations first, emotional intelligence second. So you can talk all day long about how guys need to be emotionally attracted to women. At the end of the day, women are still exercising their options to choose these guys. So until they can learn how to get out of their own way, none of this is going to stop.
That's fair. And that's fair. And I would say that when it comes to, my mind was going somewhere else. I was literally thinking, like, my thing is with this type of stuff, when looking at society and how we're doing things, me personally, I would say that I'm not the person that can't get emotionally attached to a woman. All right. But, I grew up in a 2-parent household, and my parents were together before I was born. They're still together now, and so I saw family. I go to family reunions. I'm cool with my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, and I'm just, that's what I want. But we have so many generations of people that didn't see that. And, they come from broken, the broken of the other broken. And so what role models or what are they looking for? Then when you turn around and date those people, they don't even have a frame of reference to some of the family concepts you're bringing to the table. And so they're more attracted to the guy who didn't see family himself.
Right.
He's more, and so they get along and they start. And so, to be fair with your ratio, I agree that, 8 out of 10, that's, it's pretty, and just for the sake of what I'm saying right now, I would also argue that, more than half of that room don't have parents.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And so for them not seeing and man, I've dated girls, and I'm putting them on domestic skills. I'm showing them how to do things in the kitchen and in the house, because they don't have concepts of this because they never saw it growing up. And so that's just one dynamic. So that's not interpersonal, how they communicate, how they talk, how they share, how they love, none of that. And so that was just the kitchen. Is, you know what I'm saying? Put parchment paper on the pan.
Yeah.
And so it's, just stuff like that. Nah, you got to wash the dishes like this. I mean, look at this. I mean, there's still food on this thing. Yeah, I know you put it on, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's stuff like that, where it's just like, you know. And so I think that we got a lot of brokenness in our community as well. And so I can say that will be from the woman's angle of why she would want to talk to some guy who doesn't look like he can be a family man, because guess what? Deep down, she doesn't think she's a family woman.
Yeah.
And so I think for guys out there who do have a sense of family, even if you don't have a 2-parent household, even if you saw family and you get family and you out here trying to emotionally connect the women and they're not doing it back, my whole recommendation is to find someone that's already made. She's a ready-made woman. She gets family. She understands home, house, structure. And you trying to implement these things with somebody that you cool with and y'all vibing, but y'all don't have the same backgrounds. And eventually it comes to a head at some point to where, damn, she dogging me out for some dude that dogs her out. And it's just like, yeah, bro, because she doesn't get what you're doing. There's a woman out there who saw a father, who saw an uncle or somebody who is holding it down. And that's the man she wants. And then she's, and then so when she's out here doing her thing or whatever, and she's trying to meet people, she's actually trying to meet somebody that's actually going to do the roles that she saw the men in her life do. So I think what we're witnessing right now is just, like I said, just a lot of hurt people who grew up hurt, hurt kids, and they never got. And another thing too, man, mental health, bro, because everyone needs it. And so once people grow up in traumatic households or a household that doesn't have both parents, that's traumatic in itself. And so let's take it back to older times where, let's say that, village stuff. It was like community, like people were raising families, like people were raising people's other kids. So even if I'm being raised in a village and I'm over here with these people, I'm still seeing how he treats his woman with respect and all this other stuff. And we don't have any of that stuff anymore. Everything is chaos. Everything is bust a nut, both men and women. And so when that's the rhetoric, where that's where the passion's at, of course you have chaos in the streets. So yeah, this guy speaks a point. So that's from the woman's side of it. And I think also it's a mirror. And that's why these guys out here who probably grew up without fathers, who grew up with their dad was in jail, they grew up with this or grew up with that. And now they out here just reliving, And so connect with a woman. My dad never did that. And my mom, I got a half brother over here. And, it's a lot of stuff going on out here.
Yeah.
And so with all these dynamics, all going into one pot, yeah, you're going to have this come out looking mutationish, this going on mutationish, because all of these harsh ass chemicals is getting tossed in this pot. And so, yeah, things are looking wonky. And it's a blessing that somebody grew up around such radiation and it didn't come out with forms of this, cancers or whatever. So yeah, man, I think that's what we're witnessing right now. It's a storm out there, and instead of our community being antagonistic toward one another, I really think what would be best is if we understood these dynamics and we embraced each other, just going, hey man, I come from hurt too. Let's not hurt each other. Instead of, everybody's an op enemy and all this other extra stuff. So I know I went on a rant, but
No, that all of that made sense. It's just the only thing that I would challenge you on is, I think that we are, and I hate to be doom and gloom guy, but I guess I'm gonna be doom and gloom guy.
No, don't do it.
But like not, necessarily doom and gloom like the world's falling apart, but it's just I think that this particular dynamic has become so pervasive today that it transcends even people who come from stable backgrounds. So like what I am seeing is, and I've seen this, like the only reason why I can say this with such conviction is because I have seen it with my own eyes. Like I've met people like this. Like and about some of the jobs that I've had throughout my history. I worked in, I think everybody at some point in their life should work a job in service in some kind of capacity at some point, because it allows you to really get a pulse for the different types of situations people are in and where they come from and all of that kind of stuff. Like, so I worked in a restaurant for over 10 years and I saw people come and go. I was around a lot of people who were in all kinds of permutations of life circumstance. And what I often saw is college girl who came from a 2-parent household. Both of their parents were still married or together and had good values and did stuff, and they observed family. They saw it. And they're up here in college and they're wilding. And they're getting with the guys who aren't this. Where does that come? Like if it's all about environment and upbringing, why is it that so many women nowadays who come from stabilization and great environments and upbringings, 2-parent household, this, and strong father figure that, strong mother this. Their mom was in the kitchen cooking. Mom had them in the kitchen cook, all of this stuff, right? And they're still growing up, and they're still desiring to get with the same type of men that women who don't come from those walks of life are getting with as well. And the answer to that question is the messages that we receive on a daily basis have become so ingrained in our collective consciousness that they are fundamentally altering our behaviors. They're fundamentally altering the way that we see the world and the way that we do certain things. So much so that it doesn't matter what our background is. We are at the mercy of our Instagram. We're at the mercy of our feeds. We're at the mercy of the internet. We're at the mercy of Netflix and Hulu. We're at the mercy of all of this. And so many of these messages, we're at the mercy of podcasts. We're at the mercy of YouTube. We're at the mercy of Spotify. We're at the mercy of OnlyFans. Okay. And we're at the mercy of we're at the mercy of all this stuff. And what all of these things are telling us on a daily basis is you shouldn't get with a guy if he can't afford to take you on vacation every month. You shouldn't get with a guy if he isn't this height. You shouldn't get with a girl if she doesn't have this kind of body. You shouldn't get with a girl if she don't got these kind of tattoos. Go ahead and get with the stripper. Get with the stripper girl, or get with the guy who you know has multiple baby mothers, or who you know has several other women who he talks to on a regular basis, because that's sexy to me. And why do I believe that that's sexy? Because my Instagram tells me so, because my feed tells me so. So after a while, your background means nothing. It's irrelevant to the messages that you are exposed to for the other 23 hours of the day that you're not around that background that raised you in the first place. So what is frightening to me is that this is a dynamic that is becoming so commonplace that there really are no barriers to prevent it from taking hold. And it doesn't matter how stable a background you came from. All that matters is whether you are strong-willed enough to be able to filter out a lot of these messages that come your way on a daily basis and still maintain stable body and mind. And I think for the most part, most of us can't do it.
So I agree with that. So let me say this though. So we agree. We're saying the same thing. So this is a pot with a lot of stuff going on. It's a gumbo of foolishness, right? And so part of this gumbo of foolishness is, I feel like, the part that I was explaining. So, and I agree with you, because I grew up in a 2-parent household and I was chasing the thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, why was I doing that? For every reason why I talk about damn near every episode was, like you said, social media or just influence. Now, I didn't grow up with social media. I grew up with MTV and, all other crap. But it was influence. I had dial-up, but I was still watching that crazy stuff. I would get my hands on that. And it was in complete contradiction of what I was being raised to be. Then when I'm out in the world and I'm out here trying to experience life amongst people who didn't have the same upbringing as me, I felt obligated to socially fit in. So I started doing stuff just so I'm not out of the loop. I wanted that girl, but she's only dealing with that guy who's doing that. So I'm now doing that. And so, the last one we did, not too far, but I had talked about being a class clown and stuff. And it was, but I did that for girls. And I did that so, bullies will leave me alone. But I did it really for the girls. Now, my parents didn't raise me to do that. But here I am amongst all of this stuff, just trying to find my footing in a world where so much extra stuff's going on. Now I'm acting out of how I was raised. And then it became, luckily for me, there's this area of recall and this area of self-evaluation that I can get myself into. And even though I may be carrying out certain things or have carried out certain things, I can trace back to where that originated from, because it damn sure didn't come from mom and dad. So I can trace it back to where that behavior came from, when I first saw this, when I first heard that, and then I began doing whatever. But it damn sure wasn't from mom and dad. And so with those things, so I agree. And I've seen people with single mom households, strict, great in school, doing this, doing it. So it's, but once we're dealing with statistics, I would argue that a 2-parent household is a lot better than a single.
I 100% agree.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So with that being a component, then like you said, with the influences of whether it's social media or XYZ, with these things all going on at once, of course they don't stand a chance. And especially if they're watching these shows with these women out here that are living off other people's money, going around gallivanting, doing this, doing that all around the world, arguing amongst each other, doing all this extra TV stuff. I'm like, hey, girl, these have producers, right? What do you mean? So this romantic gesture that this guy did, there was a board meeting about this, right? They sat around and thought about this concept, pitched it, and then filmed it, right? You don't think he spontaneously did that, right? But they do.
Yeah.
And now they expect bro, who has regular job, probably a kid over here, doesn't even have to have that, got a car note, got this, got that. Now she wants to gallivant. Now she wants to go around. Now she wants roses in a bed of this. And it's like, what are you getting all this crazy stuff from? Then I sit here and watch TV with her, and I seeing it, all that crap unfolding all on the TV. So it's just like, hey, man. So when so here's my thing. So yeah, man, we got a lot of people that are just in download from whatever and then just go outside operating off of that. And if you're talking to, and this is another thing that I do too, if I'm talking to somebody and I can tell they don't have self-evaluation and recall, then at that point they're slaves to whatever they watch. And so I stay away from those people now. It took me years to stop giving people like that chances, but they screw you over every time. So I say, hey man, do you know who you are? And then they start talking Instagram and TikTok. And I said, nope, you don't. I can't share myself with this person. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it takes that. So yeah, man, it's a lot to this situation, man. We got a lot going on with this. I mean, there's so many angles to dissect such a situation, but I feel like we're both saying the same thing, kind of sort of,
Yeah, we are. We're definitely saying the same thing. It's just at the end of the day, it comes down to the woman's choices. Like, I think in this particular dynamic, I talk a lot about the progenitor behavior. And I've always said, like, women in a lot of respects are the engineers of their own misfortune. Just don't get with the guy, but you keep getting with the guy. So you have no one to blame but yourself. Like, at the end of the day, you're the common denominator. But I agree with his thesis. You would want to get with a man who actually likes women. As novel of a concept as that may seem, that is what you should go for. But I just think that there are so many other things that override how much they prioritize that oftentimes that just ends up not being what happens. So the practical application of it is such that, unfortunately, it just doesn't happen very often.
And honestly, bro, and this is a deep subject, bro. But and not to ruffle any feathers, but if it does, it is what it is. But he's claiming, because first of all, sorry, that is an oxymoron. You can't hate women and then be heterosexual. It's not a thing. So you're either heterosexual or you are not.
Or not.
And so that music that Lil Wayne was making, get money, FBs, right? Do this, do that. It's pretty obvious now that, Lil Wayne and stuff like that, bisexual. That he him and Birdman doing whatever. So, it was so many homoerotic things. Like, there was like a trend going on TikTok where people would listen to homoerotic lyrics and go, what the hell is that? Biggie did homoerotic lyrics. And it's just like, what is this? But they throw it in there anyway. Biggie's hanging out with Diddy. I'm going there. Rick Ross and all of them. These guys aren't men. They act funny and they record songs. And then they put their spirit in those songs. So the spirit I'm talking about is get money, FBs. I'm with the homies, the gang. Now these new generation of kids, you literally see them as 30 dudes in one house.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys doing? We gang. Hanging with the boys. I'm cool with that. Why is it 30 of y'all? What is going on here? And so it is a level of homoeroticism to it. It is when it comes to those types of lyrics. And so when you hear that, it's coming from guys who live that life. And so it has programmed generations. So like there's hypergamy, there's also hyper masculinity. And hyper masculinity is nothing but homosexuality. So all of that stuff that we were sitting there watching when we were growing up, 50 Cent all glistening on a Source magazine or, showing everything. Lil Wayne always doing this and doing that and all this other stuff. It was a level of we prison was this whole, all this other stuff, pants sagging and all this other stuff. That whole I'm so man, I'm so this, I'm so that stuff's gay. I'm sorry, I'm going there with that. And so when you have those guys who are making music and influencing generations, and they're not talking about how to build a woman, they're not talking about how to build a family. They're talking about destroying families, destroying neighborhoods, and destroying themselves. So now we have a whole group of people out here that are just doing that and doing it to each other. And now bro can't even figure out why he's in a house with 29 other dudes yelling gang, gang, and have no females on deck. He can't explain it. And so, but I'm telling you why you living like that, bro. Get off the pornography because that's gay. It's not heterosexual. I'll put it that way. Because a man who is a man wouldn't resort to masturbation in order to do his thing. But we have guys who masturbate every day. Eat soy in everything. Eat drinking from plastics that have estrogen in it. And so we have all of this stuff that's going on out here where guys aren't being real men anymore. So I don't care how strong or whatever they look or talk or whatever, like Andrew Tate, who literally, I called his name out, and who literally sit there and just talk angry about women. How he'll spit on them and put his foot on their face and do all this other stuff. Hey, bro, I'm for the kinky stuff too, but I'm not about abusing a woman while I'm having sex with her. You must hate her, and you must hate other women too. So when you're dealing with that kind of level of masculinity, that you so man, that you'll disrespect a woman like that, that's not being a man, in my opinion. And I think a man is a guy who can be emotionally balanced and all that other stuff. And that's not popular. And that's not what all the women want. The women want hypermasculinity man. They want quasi man. And that's what they're out there chasing. And the reason why he dogs her out and never deals with her, and just like how bro said, from all of this programming that I just mentioned, not innately, but he has been programmed to now have a disdain for women. So yeah, man, this is a big topic, honestly. But there's so many avenues that circumvent actual masculinity. So I just named pornography, music, and a couple other things, and it circumvents those things. And so yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that are not being men. There's a lot of men out there that really don't like women because they can turn on a monitor. And so they're not really into it like that. Remove all of this stuff. Remove it all. I guarantee you, if there's a man who didn't have access to all of this madness, you leave him alone for 3-4 years, he would love a woman. He'd be all over her. But he has so much access to stimuli that puts him away from masculinity that he doesn't even want to be a man anymore. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of dynamics to this, bro. I can keep going. But this guy, he brings up an interesting point. And I've been saying this stuff for years, that men have been getting programmed to hate women. So yeah, I've been in circles of dudes, and they're just bashing women the entire time. No redeeming qualities at all. You know, I can give my criticisms. We've done it on here, but I still love me a woman, and I get what's going on. So yeah, man, it's a lot to this topic, but I think Homeboy's got a point, and he's saying that there's heterosexual. You're not heterosexual, dude. You know, you might only have sex with women, but in spirit, you're not. You're
Well,
not.
yeah, that's what he means by, yeah, heterosexual is only in the application that you desire to only be sexually active with a woman. Other than that, though, I mean, you can get into all of the
Semantics.
other aspects of whether something qualifies as heterosexual or not, but in the purest sense of the word, yeah, he's just meaning it as in wanting to have sex with women. I mean, yeah, all of that stuff is well and good, what you said, but at the end of the day, I mean, the women still pick these guys, so
Yeah, they get the
it-
same.
there's,
They get the
there's
same
just
program.
there's no incentive. There's no incentive for the modern day emotionally unattached woman hating man to change because women are still electing to choose that guy. So if you're not being given a reason why you shouldn't be a certain type of way, then you're not going to feel the need to change it. So I think it starts with the gatekeepers, and until women get a little better about, I don't want to say being smart enough, but just being courageous enough, I guess I'll say, to make the right choice and not feel as though they need to make a choice that aligns with what they see on their feeds and timelines. Until that happens, then a lot of this stuff ain't gonna stop. So
Hey man, they getting the same level of programming. So um
yeah, but yeah,
it,
I just think they're getting programming, but they're the gatekeepers. So it's just like, stop like, don't make yourself available to those guys, period. Like that, I mean, that'll just stop all that. Like, if that really is a problem, stop making yourself available only to those men. Don't do it. If you don't do it, then a lot of the guys who are about the right type of thing will have first dibs, right? They'll be up at the plate, but they're in the dugout still, because the guys who are up to bat are everything that you just described. So don't let them come up to bat. But if you let them come up to bat, this is what you get. So, yeah, that is something that we can keep going on with, but we'll go ahead and move on. Yeah. Next up, we're gonna talk about Lori Harvey. Lori Harvey is a popular person in Black popular culture. I know that was a bit redundant, but she's somebody who people like to talk about. She's like, I guess, I don't know. I guess you can describe her somewhat as like the Black version of what Paris Hilton was in her day. It's something similar to that. Um, there aren't as many rumors of Lori. Well, actually, I'll take that back. There actually are. I was gonna say there aren't as many rumors of Lori Harvey getting around the way that there were a lot of he say, she say, hearsay in terms of people like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian getting around. But no, that's actually wrong. There's actually a lot of stuff going on out there
wait a second.
in
So
terms of Lori Harvey getting around.
wait a second. So I've heard of her only because of the Michael B. Jordan. This is the Michael B. Jordan girl, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so who's
Yeah.
she the daughter? Is she Steve Harvey's daughter?
Yeah, Steve Harvey's not by blood. So I believe, well, yeah, because she has her last name. I believe she is Steve Harvey's wife's daughter, but they're kind of, she took on Harvey's last name.
Because this girl here
I,
don't look like no Steve Harvey. I'm like, what are you
yeah,
talking about?
exactly. I think she's the biological daughter of Steve Harvey's wife. Is the way that works out.
Right.
But she's been associated with several men in the hip hop industry. I'm not going to read off the list. If you are interested in checking that out, I invite you to check that out for yourself. If you are watching this video and you know who she is, there is a chance that you are aware of her various associations. But she was recently on a podcast with Teyana Taylor, and she talked about why she dates on her terms. And this is what we're going to provide our thoughts on. So this article here is from People, and it says Lori Harvey is changing the way she dates. The model, 25, spoke about her approach to relationships on Bumble's Love to See It YouTube series with Teyana Taylor. During Wednesday's episode, Harvey and Taylor had an intimate conversation about their philosophies for relationships of all kinds, from romantic to platonic to professional. The pair discussed never compromising one's core values, but focused a lot on change. I almost got married very young, Harvey revealed. I felt like I hadn't really experienced anything. I didn't really know myself. I didn't really know what I liked, what I didn't like. I just feel like I hadn't really experienced life. She said she eventually came to a point where she wanted to, quote, date on my own terms. She added, however I want to move, whatever I want to do. And please pay attention to these quotes. I'm going to repeat that. She added, quote, however I want to move, whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. And if it's no longer serving me, I'm going to move on. Earlier in the episode, Harvey said that change is, quote, the beautiful part of growth, noting that she doesn't want the same things at 25 that she wanted at 21. Quote, two different mindsets. Like, I don't even know her anymore. She's not here anymore, Harvey said. This is who we're dealing with today. So, those are Harvey's quotes. That was a bit of what she talked about on that thing with Teyana Taylor, dating on her own terms. If a situation doesn't serve her, she's going to move on. So and mind you, this is coming in the aftermath of the end of her relationship with Michael B. Jordan, which was a very high profile thing, because that was perceived to be one of the few times that Black popular culture gets to bask in the glory of a young, attractive couple. Like we've had our Beyoncés and Jay-Z's, but Beyonce was like 30 something, Jay-Z was like 40 something. Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey was like in their 20s, young, hot type thing. And so it was a big deal when they got together. And it was also a big deal when they broke up. And so, she talked about that after they broke up, however long ago that was. And so, I'm penny for your thoughts on what you have to say about Lori Harvey's comments on, why she now dates on her own terms.
I just think she's just speaking from the book of Modern Woman, chapter 1, verse 7, I think that was. And I think so. She's just pulling from the manual. They have a handbook for this. I don't know where it's at. It must be a PDF downloadable somewhere, because they're all saying the same damn thing. I swear they're all saying the same damn thing. So I have no idea what's going on, but she sounds like some random girl that I pulled, and I'm trying to talk to her, and she's like, "Oh, you too controlling. I need to do whatever I want." And it's just like, yeah, that kind of logic. So apparently it doesn't matter. Hell, I can be Michael B. Jordan and a woman would still do that to me. So you ain't safe. I don't know what's going on right now that you ain't safe. You can listen. That's crazy. Like Michael B. Jordan is today's Denzel for these women. You know what I'm saying? Maurice Chestnut.
Yeah, I think you can say that. That's a safe thing to say.
Yeah, and this woman just dunked on his ass. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That wouldn't have happened in the 90s or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is real modern, bro. This is evolved. I almost got married at a young age, and they were controlling me and this and that. And it was, man, this whole thing, man, that they just want to live their life. They want to live theirs. They want to, you know what I'm saying? They want to be like how dudes is, and you know what I'm saying? Experience all the different flavors out there. And even if you got a flavor that you can eat every day and that you really like and enjoy, I know there's other flavors out there though. And with that kind of mindset, yeah. So I think she's pulling from the same manual and handbook, bro. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, this topic somewhat relates to the one that we just talked about, doesn't it? It displays why bro is able to make videos like the one that he made that we just talked about, because chicks do stuff like this. Like, this is interesting to me because it represents this stuff. So like what I just read, her quotes and all of that, that is representative, in my opinion, of today's culture and the ways in which there is a nexus in which modern behavior and traditionalism collide. What I think is going on here is, and we've talked often about how women speak in code. So what I think is going on here is she represents what is the large contingent of today's woman who operates her dating life from a point of masculinity, which is, I'm going to date around and explore all of my options and date multiple men at the same time. And I'm going to stick and move. Essentially, whenever a situation no longer serves me, because that's what relationships are nowadays, is how best can this situation serve me, given whatever state my life is in the present. Once this situation no longer serves me, I am going to relinquish it so that I can move on to something else that can better serve me. That is, but she's coding it as, I'm gonna date on my own terms. Like, all this is modern females' approach to dating, which is, I'm gonna be masculine. I want to date around. I want to sleep around. I want to be able to explore all of my options and date as many men as possible. But there's still an aspect of a scarlet letter type societal stain that I want to be able to sidestep. And what I want to be able to sidestep is society labeling me as an Amber Rose variety of slut. See, one thing that I will at least respect Amber Rose for, in comparison to an individual like Lori Harvey, is Amber Rose will say, yeah, I'm a slut, so what? Yeah, I like to have multiple relationship interests with multiple guys. And yeah, I embrace that. It is what it is. We are slowly but surely reaching a point where being a slut is not only something that we socially accept, but something that we actually glorify and appreciate. And so Amber Rose is on the front lines of that. And she's saying, while we get to a point in society where we are coming to terms with how we now want to view slut, I'm going to embrace and name myself that way because I know that that's where we're headed. Lori Harvey, conversely, is stuck in this nexus where that is what she's about. To me, she's on the same thing as Amber Rose, in my opinion. To me, they're the same person through and through. But Lori Harvey is trying to sidestep the scarlet letter stain by coding it as, I want to date on my own terms. And if a situation doesn't serve me, then I'll move on, as opposed to just outright saying, I like to have multiple boyfriends and sleep around with multiple men because that's how I get my rocks off. And that's how I want to date, because I find it fun and enjoyable. And I want to live my life and do it this way. And if you don't like it, kick rocks. Right? She ain't going to say that because she might get criticized in social media troll world for saying those things. Whereas Amber Rose, who has developed a brand off of that type of stuff, doesn't care. And so she can say it and it doesn't matter, because for the rest of us, if Amber Rose says something like that, she's being on brand. But the both of them really are one and the same. They both operate in terms of their dating life in a very masculine way, which is, I'm going to retain as many options as possible. I'm going to date as many men as I want. I'm going to be sexually active with as many men as I want. And you can't tell me nothing, to quote Kanye. It's a masculine way of doing it because since the beginning of time, that's what we as men did. I want to have all my options. I'm going to have multiple women who I sleep with. And as soon as she start acting up, I'll just leave her. And I got other women on the team. So women do the same thing now, only they actually do it better, in my opinion, because more women want men than there are women who want men. So women always are going to have more options than men are. So women are always going to be able to perform this at a higher level than men can on average, excluding the men who can do this at a very high level, which is their entertainers and your athletes, your pro athletes. But outside of that, most guys can't do this at a high enough level to be able to compete with a woman who says, I'm going to do it too. And Lori Harvey is just a woman who says, I'm going to do it too. And she just gave you her manuscript right there in those quotes. She's just a masculine, modern day female dater, a la Amber Rose, a la a lot of these other women out here, these loving hip hop chicks, Erica Mena, take your pick. They all do it. And they're all saying, this is where the world is going, and you're going to celebrate me for it. The only thing is, like, Lori Harvey is just kind of hiding in the shadows somewhat. It's like she's on the DL with it. Like, she's in the nexus and she is too afraid at this point to break out of the nexus. And she'll probably be comfortable enough in her own skin once she hits about 30 to finally break out of the nexus and just admit, like, yeah, I just like doing my thing. I like being single again woman out here. I'm going to have as many men as I want on the team because that's just how I like to do things. Because for me, relationships are a matter of stepping stone, convenience, and what they can do for me in the moment. And the moment that these relationships no longer serve my best interest, I reserve the right to renege on that contract and opt out. Because that's what they all do is opt. That's what we do. As I'm not even trying to make this about women exclusively. That's what we do. We opt out. And so Lori Harvey is someone who opts out famously. I mean, Google all the guys and these are industry guys too. Google all the guys that Lori Harvey has been associated with in terms of romantically. And she's only 25. So she has a lot more roadmap to go. And it's just, it's a situation where this is where we are. And so I kind of view people like Lori Harvey and Amber Rose as the same. But, Lori Harvey kind of tries to operate in the shadows, whereas Amber Rose just flat out says, I'm slut walking it. And, that's pretty much how I see that.
Yeah, I agree. I like that angle. I think that the masculine women, I think that is I think what we're calling it's masculine. It's masculine. But I had a theory that when you're dealing with just raw feminine energy, it comes off kind of masculine. That's my opinion. It comes off today's world masculine. And I think that women throughout society have been put in these positions to where they couldn't be their full selves. And I think the society that we're living in now allows them to do whatever they want. And we're starting to see what they'll do if they can do whatever they want. And men aren't liking it. And man, in countries and places where the penalty is death for cheating, women still cheat. So I'm inclined to believe that if anybody isn't well-rounded, know who they are, and they live in their animal self, then they're going to do animal things and just have salacious sex. And just have sex. Because that's all dogs and cats do, is just go around and just, animal. Just go, hey, mate. And so I think the thing was going on with modern women is that they've got free reign to do or say whatever they want. And now we're actually seeing the first generations of really liberated women. I mean, I would honestly say in world history, if not in the last 2,000 or 3,000 years. And now we're just seeing women do what they want, and they're doing what men do. And religion has prevented women from doing what men do. Certain cultures prevent women from doing what men do. And that's why men have a thumb on women so much in other places and other cultures and societies, in my opinion, is because once women are allowed to do what they want, men don't like it.
Yeah,
And
no one likes being forced to relinquish power.
And so, what do you mean? Who's relinquishing power?
Men, like you say, men don't like it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So Yeah, people are always going to be averse to change, so men
Absolutely.
just don't like giving up that power.
Right. And so I think what's going on now is that women have a choice, and they could do whatever they want, and they're choosing to act in their base selves and just go chase around and just go do no different than a man who's just stuck in his base self and going around just having sex with anybody and doing all kind of crazy stuff. So I think that that's what we're seeing now. I think what you said about Amber Rose is key and important, because what Amber Rose has done is she just embraced the fact that she does what she does. But if you talk to any woman in the street, like that was a good thing you said too, like a scarlet letter type of thing. Women are very socially aware of what they shouldn't be viewed as. So they speak around those things all the time. And that's why we say they speak in code.
Right.
Because they can't say what they really feel, because if they did, you ain't gonna like it.
Yeah.
So they talk around stuff a lot. And so I feel like her explanation of why she didn't do that, it was a talk around. It's just a real talk around, real roundaboutish. And honestly, from me having so many homegirls, exes, and all this other stuff, I get the language. I completely understand why I'm being bullshitted now. And so, it's great, man. It's like my detector is just next level. So, because I get the code and I get what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
you got to be able to know how to decipher the code.
You gotta break the code. And so, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But yeah, man, it was just crazy. I've seen videos before where women got killed, publicly executed, because in that culture, they know you shouldn't cheat. She did it anyway. And so if the penalty for cheating is death and you still do it, then it has to be deeper. There's something else going on there. And I think what's happening is that it ties into the previous conversation, man, and previous stuff. If there's a balanced person, so a balanced woman, and she gets what's going on, she understands her sexual desires and this desire and all that stuff, and she just gets herself and she just operates within herself, then she's good to go. But if she doesn't understand what makes her urges, her this is her that, and she's just acting off instinct and all this other stuff, then these types of things happen where they're not really, I don't know what their relationship was, her and B Jordan or whatever, but aesthetically it looked pretty good, right? But still, even then, when it's like, if they have the golden opportunity or a golden situation, they still might blow it up because of that lack of balance and that lack of being aware of their desires and where their desires are coming from. Man, that's very important. And that's why I said, man, and that's why I said my mom and dad raised me one way, how to be that way. Whenever I met my family and cousins and stuff, they all had me in one direction. School took me out of certain things, and that damn TV and them songs, they had a stronghold on what I thought was really fun. Because all these people over here are so dull and so well behaved and so boring.
How dare they be well behaved?
How dare they?
The audacity of being well behaved.
But this stuff out here is so exciting. Look at this. It's that. Loud cars, rims.
Women do, that's the exact same thing that women do.
So that's what I'm saying. And so, and I can resonate for why they do that. I have the recall, and I can trace back, and I can call it out and identify how those weren't my original thoughts. And I said, if somebody is doing that, then they're at an advantage amongst all this mind control. But if you're talking to a bot, and then you say, hey, who are you? Where are you from? Where are you getting these ideas and all this other stuff? And they think it's just, what do you mean? I just bought my Dove hoodie out of trash bag. And it's just like, there you go. Yeah. So who's behind the Dove hoodies? You know what I'm saying? It's them.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
just it. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, if you ask Lori Harvey, she's gonna be like, "I know exactly who I am. That's why I'm doing this."
You know, that's
I know. I'm just saying, like, she knows. The thing is, like, look at the quotes. Like, these, you can't tell people who think like her
oh no.
that they don't know who they are. She knows. She believes she knows exactly who she is. That's
Right.
why she feels comfortable enough to at least say what she said there. Like, what we're looking at here is a full-on pendulum swing. We're going to have to change how we perceive certain notions, like
Mhm.
slut, promiscuity, infidelity. Like, we're looking at a landscape in which we are going to have to completely undergo cognitive reorient. Like, we're going to have to reorient how we cognitively perceive certain notions.
Mhm.
What we have traditionally thought a slut to be, we're gonna have to change how we think that. We're gonna have to. We're not gonna have any other choice, because now what we're looking at is a situation in which if a man can do it, then a woman can do it too. And like, this is the history of the world. Like, men have been whores since the beginning of time, and that's
Absolutely.
been socially acceptable. So the
Mhm.
thing is, the pendulum is now swinging, if not already swung. The door is kind of wide open at this point. No one calls a guy a whore. We call women whores. But we're getting to a point now in our world where we're not even going to call women whores anymore. These are going to be obsolete, antiquated notions and terms. What do you mean she's a slut? What does that mean? Why are we even calling her? You're calling her a slut. Why? Because she has multiple sexual partners. So what? That's normal. That's regular. It's 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 normal to the point where the idea that there's something off about it wouldn't even register in your brain. It's that kind of normalization of that. Slut, promiscuity, infidelity. We got all of this stuff going on. What's the thing called where polyamorous relationships, all of this kind of stuff that's going on, that's becoming more commonplace. Like, it's just a situation where we are looking at the very fabric of the way that we view certain things changing right before our very eyes. And I think the pushback to it is merely a resistance to change. But you can't tell Lori Harvey that she doesn't know who she is. She knows exactly who she is. She's somebody who likes to live it up and have fun. She likes to be a single. Apparently, the reason why her and Michael B. Jordan didn't work out, and this is by the reports, is because he wanted to settle down and get serious and committed, and she didn't.
Yeah.
She wanted to be the one who continued to play the field. So it's like more and more females are acting in this regard, where it's like, I just want to, and the reason why I'm calling that masculine is because since the beginning of the time, it's been men who do it. But really, it's kind of really is it's a backhanded application of the word masculine, because it's just everybody's all things are equal in this way. Everyone's just out here doing the same thing. And she's comfortable doing this because she knows that it's something that she really wants to do, which, if I'm being honest, I have to at least respect her that much, because you got a lot of women out here who would love to be single, not be married, and just have a lot of sexual partners and just be sexually liberated and free and be able to do whatever they want with whoever they want. But they feel the societal pressure of womanhood. They feel the weight of society bearing down on them, telling them that they are only validated as individuals if they become wives and mothers. So, like, she's breaking the mold on that. I don't care about being a wife and mother. For what? I just want to slur it up. I just want to have sex with whoever I want, whenever I want. I want to be in a relationship or have as many boyfriends as I want. And you're going to have to get used to the normalcy of that, because this is where the culture is going, man. So I don't think we're dealing with people who don't know who they are. I think actually it's the opposite. I think these people know exactly who they are. I think Amber Rose knows exactly who she is. I think Lori Harvey knows exactly who she is. Now, she's eventually, like I said, going to have to come to terms with not speaking in code, because sleuths like me can read through the code. I know what it is that you're saying. So don't come to me with this self-righteousness talking about dating on your own terms and leaving a situation when it no longer suits you, when really it's just about you wanting to hop from one penis to the next. That's really what this boils down to. And as long as she knows that and she's aware of that, which I do believe that she is, the only thing that I can really fault her for is attempting to pull the wool over everyone's eyes by speaking in code.
Yeah, I hear that. And when I say, know themselves, yeah, everybody that you say, if you polled 100 people, do they know themselves? Pretty sure about 98 of them say they do. Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a couple people in there like, I don't know who I am. It's like, all right, bro. I want to talk to you, bro. I want to talk to you. But everybody else more or less is gonna be like, yeah, I know who I am. Fuck yeah. Sure. Of course I know who I am. And so, but that's an automated response because nobody's gonna run around and say they don't know who they are. And so, but what I mean by, is if you can really explain how you got to where you're at right now. Her explaining that she had game ran on her when she was younger. She can say that's where this is coming from, but I would argue that it could be other things. And like from the discussion that we had before, I really feel like a lot of this is societal things that's going on. And if she can point to and click where she went left with her logic, then I would say, all right, you're on the right, you're in the right ballpark. Because if you can, the progenitor behavior, where is this coming from? And so if you can trace where your current behaviors, if you can trace to where they came from, that is step one in getting rid of those thoughts and those habits that make you act like that. But if you can't trace and find out where they come from, the origin of these things, then you're subject to do this for the rest of your life. And so that's why I ask, hey, and so when somebody does tell me that they know themselves, I ask them to please show their work. And so if you can show your work, and it's like you do self-evaluation, or you do have a therapist, or you do have somebody where you are actually working on who you are. But if you're just out here just doing your thing, I talk to my girls, I do this, I do that, and it's like, all right, but you know what I'm saying? Like they're in the same bubble as you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she's gonna have her housewife show. That's when she's gonna settle down, when it's actually gonna make money sense. This is the world. Everybody's a narc, bro.
Yeah.
This world is breeding everybody to be a narc. And it's not just Lori Harvey. It's the basic girl that work at Publix.
Yes.
And she is just out of her mind. And she thinks she the baddest thing ever. Because, well, I mean, name 100 guys. All 100 of them will have sex with her. But that doesn't mean anything. Guys will have sex with anything if it's free. If it's free. So what are you doing? So, but now that women have this black card of any man to have sex with me, don't let her look like Lori Harvey. Because
it's a wrap.
What's Michael B. Jordan to me in her eyes? I can really get a billionaire. This guy's just making movies. I can get some guy. Yeah, I can get some guy who actually has stuff. The studio the boy works in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when so with her, she's not girl from Publix. So she can really take this super hypergamous reality to its fullest potential. And so why waste it on Michael B. Jordan? He's so new, he's so fresh. Like, there's so many other things out there. I need to explore my market. If I pull my tag right now, I might cash out on a real big payday one day. So I think that's more or less her lane. It is what it is. But she's doing what most modern women are doing right now. But she just has the, the cachet and the name and all this other stuff behind her. So it's public. And she actually has enough, the looks, the social, everything to actually get these guys and date these rappers and all this other stuff. So she's living the American dream. And so, and so when that whole situation went down, and so she can, like you said, bro, she's speaking in code to explain that logic. Because she can't just come right out and say, oh yeah, I didn't want him because I feel like I can get better. No, I'm still young and I still want to do me. Not buying that crap. you know. And so whenever they are selling that crap, all right, I tell them to put it in the trash bag and call
Yeah,
it call it a
yeah.
construction bag.
Put it in the bag with the rest of the Yeezy Gap.
And call it
Yeah.
a construction bag and get that
For real.
shit out of my face.
Yeah, you can sell that to whoever is willing to buy them clothes. That's all we gonna do with that. Yeah, I hear all of that, man. Yeah, she's able to do it at the highest level.
Yeah, at the highest.
But the thing is, she serves as an inspiration to all women everywhere. All of these regular girls out here, they aspire to do what Lori Harvey can do. Whether they'll get there is a whole other story, but there's a trickle down effect for this kind of thing. I have witnessed that since day one, and as long as these girls know, and I say girls on purpose, I use that word intently. As long as these girls know that, like, it doesn't matter whether they work at Publix or not, Walmart, it doesn't matter. They can they selling shoes at Finish Line, as long as they know that they can post bikini pics and pics going to the club and the dresses and all of the rest of the stuff that they do, and they get 200, 300, 400 likes and several DMs. Statistically speaking, at some point, one of those DMs is going to be an individual who can afford her with whatever it is that she is searching for at that time. And just as Lori Harvey said, once that situation no longer serves her, she will just rinse and repeat. She'll rinse and repeat. So this definitely has a trickle down effect. 1000%. It doesn't need to be a celebrity. It can be a regular female. It doesn't matter. But we are looking at the pendulum swinging right before our very eyes. We are not going to be using words like slut, hoe, whatever, like infidelity, older words like promiscuous, all of this. Those words are just going to be eliminated from the lexicon. We are no longer going to be using these types of terms to describe women's behavior, because these types of behaviors will no longer require a term to distinguish them from normal behavior, because it will all be typical normal behavior. That's it. So, the only thing that I'll say to her is stop speaking in code, because people out here ain't dumb. But other than that, I completely get where this is coming from. And much like everything else, it's going to continue.
Lori is at Dogon SS. It's at Dogon SS. I was just joking about all that stuff. We can still hang out. So, just hit me up. It was worth it.
It's a Future too. Future is somebody else that she was with. So
Future had that.
Oh yeah, before Michael B. Jordan did. Yeah, very famously. Yeah, that's why Future got that song with 42 Doug. With 42 Doug, another one of these little new rappers. And Future say it on the hook or somewhere on the song, he'd be like, "Tell Steve Harvey I don't want her," or something like that. Talking directly about that situation,
Yeah.
But
way to go, Future, my guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. All right, next up, we are going to talk about this weird situation with this AI rapper type. I don't know what, like, you're gonna have to help me articulate this, because I don't even quite understand all of this. If you want to go ahead and queue up whatever it is that we're gonna share real quick.
Well, I think what will be best is that article, bro. If you read that up. Yeah, those two top.
So
paragraphs.
there is something going on called AI rapping. Where it sounds it's a rapper that's not an actual person, but a digital avatar type character that is an artist, I guess. But it's weird because this individual is treated like a real person. Like they refer to them as an AI rapper. It's like being referred to as a rapper or a robot or AI, even though it's not AI or a rapper. It's just like it's like a living GIF. It's like a walking avatar, and there's a voice behind it, which is a human being that provides lyrics, and this AI rapper raps lyrics. But so be that as it may, one of these quote unquote AI rappers called FN Meka was signed, and like it's weird for me to even talk like this, but this AI rapper was signed to
Yeah,
Capitol Records,
that's right.
and there was backlash
Mhm.
because FN Meka was perceived to be a caricature that plays upon low-hanging fruit and tropes of black people. And so after black people got outraged and there was a lot of backlash, Capitol Records terminated the deal with FN Meka. They terminated the deal. So we'll read this article real quick from Pitchfork that gives a bit of a background into the fallout and how Capitol Records terminated the deal. So the title says Capitol Records severed ties with AI rapper FN Meka, issues apology after facing criticism for quote gross stereotypes. Quote, we offer our deepest apologies to the black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about equity and the creative process behind it. On August 14th, Capitol Records announced that it has signed FN Meka, a digital rapper and TikTok influencer described by the label as the world's first AR artist to sign with a major label. A press release from FN Meka's 2021 publicist. Again, this person is not even a real human. It's an avatar. But apparently this avatar has a publicist. This is some new world weirdo stuff that I don't get this stuff. But I'll keep reading. A press release from FN Meka's 2021 publicist described Meka as an AI-powered robot rapper. Meka's first single on the label was Florida Water, which featured Gunna and gaming streamer Clicks. As of today, FN Meka is no longer on a major label. Capitol has announced that it has severed ties with the rapper. The New York Times reports. CMG has severed ties with the FN Meka project, effective immediately, the label noted in a statement. We offer our deepest apologies to the black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about equity and the creative process behind it. We thank those who have reached out to us with constructive feedback in the past couple of days. Your input was invaluable as we came to the decision to end our association with the project. So yeah, that was those are the initial statements that were made by Capitol Records on behalf of why they severed ties with this digital avatar rapper. It's not even AI. Like the fact that they call it AI bugs me because AI assumes that it's a fully self-aware artificial intelligence, and it's not that. It's a avatar that is being voiced over by an actual human being. So it's not even artificial intelligence. It's not a robot. But whatever, semantics.
So show my screen so I can show you these two little goofy videos. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we got some little bit of video with what this looks like for anyone who is not aware of this rapper, FN Meka.
All right, we don't see no niggas like we playing hockey. All right, so let's take a look at this last one here. All right, these are short; they're only a few seconds.
Yo, guys, look at this car that FN Meka just bought. Look at this shit, man. This dude is crazy.
This guy's crazy.
Wrapped Lambo.
Oh my god!
Crazy. What are you doing?
What are you doing, FN Meka? You are so crazy. All right. So yeah, that's the character. I think he only has 3 songs. So it's not like he has a whole catalog. It's just it being weird. And so yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's not real AI. It's an avatar. It's just a 3D model that they said is a rapper now, and they're cloaking it as an AI robot. Talking about something they fed data into it from all these famous songs, and then it popped out saying he don't see niggas like he playing hockey. And it's like, I don't think it worked like that, bruh. I don't think AI worked like that, at least not yet. I know they got them AI generating things that generate art. Those things can turn out fire. You seen those things?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So they kick out some fire. So I guess these people are trying to, what I'm saying, say that you can make music like that, which I'm pretty sure you can, eventually at some point. I mean, hell, there's AI that write paragraphs for you if you don't feel like writing it. So I get it, but this is not the sophisticated is what I'm getting at. This is a hell of an operation, in my opinion. I feel like this is a hell of a coup they tried to pull with this. And the people didn't like it. I mean, the backlash was immediate. And as soon as it's like, oh, an AI robot, an AI thing out here, then it's like, what is this thing? So, of course, man, you can't be running around saying the N-word if you're not the N-word. So then it's like, all right, so who's making these things? Right? So then once research was done and people peeling back curtains, all right, well, nobody in there, looks like they're from the community. And it looks like what they tried to do was to create a industry prop, cash cow, like a Tekashi 6ix9ine or what's another one that they tried to shove down? What's that boy that the kids love now? Yeet.
Don't ask me, bro. Lil Pump.
Lil Pump, right?
Lil Pump.
They tried it with that.
It's a few others. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it seems like they tried to do that, but for free. Only thing you got to do is get somebody who generates images, and that's it. You don't have to pay for hotel rooms. You don't have to do none of that. Oh, you going to a concert in the metaverse, man? You going to an FM Meka concert in the multiverse. So yeah, you drop $500, $300.
You putting on your Oculus. That's how you going to the concert on your Oculus.
Yeah. But then FM Meka can be you right there front row center. And it's the metaverse, baby. Everybody got a front row seat.
Oh, man.
So I think what they really tried to do is they really tried to cut out the middleman, the slave black people that they kept using for all of these years. And so they say, hey, why actually pay somebody who's going to go to real jail, pay for his lawyers and all this other stuff, when we can actually just, give them a Fortnite character and then put all the songs out there like that. We don't have to pay anybody anything. And I think this was really genius on record labels. I think they really got greedy and they bit themselves in the hand. I think it's kind of, you ever been so hungry, bro, that you're like, God damn, you just eating something. You nibbled on your thumb or something. And I think that, and my whole adage when it comes to when people like to talk about corporate America, how they're doing this and doing that, they're so greedy. And when you're dealing with greedy people will get so greedy that they will injure themselves or mess up the whole operation from their greed. And I don't think this is going to mess up Capitol Records operation, but what it did, it showed their hand real quick of what they actually think about music in general. Now, the black community for sure, rap music for sure. I mean, rap has been co-opted. And so it's been co-opted since NWA. So if people think this shit happened with mumble rap, they're sadly mistaken. So the rap industry has been co-opted for a very long time. And I think that they got a little too antsy and nibbled themselves in the hand with this and got a little exposed. So I know I said a lot there, but how do you feel about this AI robot robo artist?
I don't even know where to start. So, there are certain things that I recognize are emerging aspects of culture that, even though I can't get down with it because I just am not programmed, I don't come from that generation, I can nevertheless understand its place in the world. For example, uh TikTok, social media in general. I don't consider myself someone who comes from the social media generation. However, I understand the role that it plays in today's society, even though I may have several problems with it. I may have several problems with it. Nevertheless, I understand its place in this world.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one of those things. I don't understand where we're going when we're talking about AI rappers. But this is what happens when you allow your way of life and your culture as a community to become synonymous with a music form that is packaged and sold to legions of people who exist outside of your very community. I don't understand why we get so mad about this kind of stuff when we are the reasons why this type of stuff exists in the first place. Like, back in the 90s, even the early 2000s, if rappers and the hip hop industry in general made it clear that this was a form of expression that was endemic and therefore should only be consumed by black people, it would have saved ourselves a lot of confusion that we are dealing with in the current day. But of course, something like that was never possible because when you're disenfranchised and you're looking for economic freedom, you will sell your art to those who own the ability to be able to make you rich for it. We never owned any record labels. We never owned any of these studios. We didn't even own the right to the masters of the music.
Mm-hmm.
So we had no choice but to allow ourselves, and I say ourselves, I mean these rappers
Mm-hmm.
and the arbiters of the music in general, to pimp out their art to those who had the means to leverage the art in order to provide the artist with financial freedom. And so what you have is decades at this point of packaging this music and selling it as a commodity to people who exist outside of the community of people who make it. The N word is a part of that package. The N word is a part of the goods and services of hip hop music. It's no different than if I buy a basketball. It's no different than if I am a fan of the NBA and I am told by the NBA that I can buy tickets to go to games, I can buy paraphernalia, I can buy jerseys, I can buy all sorts of things to support the NBA as an industry, as an entity. But the NBA will not allow me to go to Dick's Sporting Goods, buy a basketball, and actually play basketball. That would not in any world make any sense. So you mean to tell me that I can spend my hard-earned money supporting your program, but I can't be an active participant? I'm not going to be an active. I am not going to monetarily support anything that doesn't allow me to be an active participant. That's part of the exchange of goods and services. Is if you allow me to buy this thing, you are allowing me therefore to be an active participant. The N word is a part of the word nigga, is an aspect of this music that is a part of the package. You're selling the music to people outside of black folks. So at what point do we continue to become like, how do we continue to reserve the right to get mad that AI rapper FN Meka is using the word nigga in his music and essentially being a caricature of the lowest hanging fruit in black tropes of what appeals to black culture, when we have basically sold this music to outside influences to participate in? I find myself confused by that. I don't understand how we continue to get outraged at that. We listen and look, I'm being facetious when I give this argument, and I understand that. But at this point, we shouldn't get mad when a white person uses the N word. Why are we still getting mad at this? What are you getting mad for? What music do you think that kid listens to? Seriously. So what you want this kid to do is support this stuff, stream the music, buy the music, go to the shows, support the artist, follow the artist on Instagram, comment on all the artist stuff, share the posts. You want this kid to do all this and listen to the music 24/7 while this kid's at the gym. He's listening to rap music. When this kid goes to the club or goes to the bar with his friends, the DJ's playing rap music. He's consuming this stuff 24/7. So what you want this kid to do is have some kind of mega filter to be able to say, oh, I can be an active participant in this way, but I can't actually say the word. It's unreasonable, in my opinion. It's unreasonable. And it's unreasonable for us to get mad because this AI rapper is using words and looking like a modern day minstrel show. These real life rappers are minstrel shows.
Yeah,
Gunna is a minstrel show.
Yeah.
Young Thug is a minstrel show.
Yeah.
6ix9ine, Lil Pump, these guys are minstrel shows. Well, I don't care. Name them off. They're all modern day minstrel shows.
Yeah.
So if we can do it in real life, why can't we do it in the digital world? What the hell is the difference?
I agree.
What is the difference? So that's why I'm just like, okay, black people, since y'all want to get outraged and demand that Capitol Records apologizes, and there was some other aspect of this in the article where they talked about how they demanded that Capitol Record donates money to some charitable fund that looks to uplift black people. Okay, all of those what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's a dog and pony show. Like y'all want to get all of this outrage over this kind of stuff, and you don't even police the own people in your community who are doing this stuff, making you look foolish by appealing to the low-hanging fruit and the lowest hanging tropes of black society in real life. But you want to attack it digitally. Why? Because the owners of it are people who don't look like you. What do you think was going on record labels since the late 80s and all throughout the 90s? What do you think was happening? You think black people own these labels?
Exactly. You think black people told NWA to come out with all them songs about killing and all this other stuff? And that wasn't us, man.
Yeah. So I roll my like, so there's two things for me going on here at the same time. This digital avatar rap thing to me is just in and of itself a weird concept. This is some new human stuff. You use that word new. This is some new human stuff that I just can't rock with. To me, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It's not for me. I prefer real life people, real life artists. So I just don't get it. But it just doesn't register for me. I don't understand how this thing is not even a real person, but has 5 million followers on TikTok. I don't get it. So that's one aspect of it for me, is I don't get it. But the other thing is I don't get the outrage. I don't get why do we still get mad at this stuff? Why? These white people should be able to say nigga all day, every day. And I don't give a damn who don't like me saying that. If you got a problem with that, you can blame the very thing that we've allowed our culture to become synonymous with as a product to be sold to people worldwide, which is this music shit. So if you really want to get mad at something, get mad at that. But you won't do that because you take so much pride in this music being your culture. And that's really the problem. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know if anything that I just said there made sense.
No, I got it.
But that's just how I feel about this. I get tired of this fake outrage and these demands for contrition because people want to use the N-word and appropriate black culture. How about you think about why it is that the use of the word nigga is black culture? Let's dissect that. Let's analyze that. Let's talk about why minstrel characterizations of black culture, which is what this hip hop stuff is for the most part, not all of it, but a lot of it. Let's talk about how that's synonymous with what black culture is. Let's dissect that. And then furthermore, let's talk about how we have packaged that as a product to be sold to the masses of people in this world, 7 billion people in this world, most of whom aren't black to begin with. But we've packaged it and sold it as a product. So let's talk about that before we want to talk about how outraged we are because there's an AI robot rapper using the N-word and being a modern day minstrel show and and playing to the lowest hanging fruit of what constitutes black culture, black society, black people, black community, whatever word you want to use to describe what is supposed to be a collective body of people who are supposed to be uplifting themselves.
And honestly, I agree with all that, bro. Good points, bro. And I'll say that, to just add on, I was astonished that they canceled it, especially the next day. I was astonished that people were mad. I really was. I thought people were gonna be like, what? Weird, but not enough to be like hitting up Capitol and be like, whatever. I was surprised. And I was like, for all the reasons that you're saying that, now you're mad? Why? Because it's an AI? Now you're mad? But when Lil Pump was out here running around, doing all this wild stuff, or 6ix9ine was out here wilding out, it's all good. Y'all reposting and everything funny when he doing it. Even though people had issues with him, but it still wasn't enough. It's literally the same thing.
Those people didn't get canceled. I know that.
When they were forcing 6ix9ine, I mean, every feed. You couldn't go nowhere without seeing his stuff. I'm not clicking on his stuff. Who's paying for this? Who's putting this out? It's the labels. It's the things. It's a marketing campaign. I don't know what this is going to do. They started it and then stopped it. You know me. I'm a conspiracy theorist. And I really think that they were testing the waters on this to see how people were going to react. The reaction came back pretty crazy. But they got good constructive feedback. Isn't that what they said? Constructive feedback?
Yes.
So what are you going to do with constructive feedback besides use that feedback to construct something else?
That won't get backlash, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
So they're going to take the same thing. They pushed it with this thing. And so, he's doing all this other extra stuff. I don't know why they mad some avatar is saying the N-word. And it's like, what are you guys mad about? Man, when I first found out about how, hip hop was turned into rap, that's when I was like, oh, okay. So, but labels have been controlling music for the longest. I mean, they've been black, white. They've just been, effing people. There's only a handful of artists, black or white, that can say that the industry didn't get the best of me. Everybody else got ran through. And even in our parents' generation, they were getting blaxploitation films where they're freaking idolizing gangsters and pimps.
Yeah.
And so
all of that Foxy Brown, Shaft, Richard Roundtree, all of that stuff was just blaxploitation.
Rap. Minstrel. Rap. And so every generation, they're gonna find a way. And it's not so much that it's like it's so it's intentional because they're doing it, but it's not like we're gonna it's like, no, it's kind of like what you said before about the women in the last one. You put a lot on women, but basically saying close your legs. I know you want that, but close your legs. Because if you close your legs, anybody gonna be, blah, blah. So the same thing for that. So same thing for the black community. If you mad, cut off everything that you consider minstrel. And honestly, it's more stuff than they may think it is. And just like you said, Gunna is. Hell, Future is. Even that's my boy. He out there jigabooing with the rest of the foolishness. And so there are tons of artists out there that don't even know that they're participating in the madness. And this kind of ties into the last point I made too. There's a young man out here who's literally just rapping. You ask him if he knows himself, he'll tell you, yeah. But then you listen to his music and he's talking about hurting himself, not directly, but indirectly, hurting his community. You don't know yourself, young man, because if you did, you wouldn't be talking like that. And so for all of this stuff, man, there's so many generations who grew up, like you said, Foxy Brown, Richard Roundtree. And then my dad used to watch that. And he was telling me how to pimp these hoes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out here trying to pimp these hoes. And you just out here on that crazy stuff. Yeah, I'm on that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we went to school with those guys. They weren't talking about, Foxy Brown and all that. But you could tell that they were catching game from older people. And they were just speaking like, hey, man, nah, man, to hell with them and all this other extra stuff. And honestly, just kind of, all the conversations. And so with this situation here, I was astonished that they got upset. You want to get mad now because it's an AI. And I think people are just triggered by AI in general.
Yeah.
And so anything AI right about now, people super sensitive. And it's bone on bone at this point. And so, yeah, I think that's what got them. But just like how you said, people had to, people went back and was like, yo, what's so AI about this? But then you find out the creators of this and this is that. They paid some guy over here, basically just contracted him out, but didn't pay him. All this other mess. It's an absolute mess. This to me screams rough draft. It screams social experiment and constructive feedback. And they will try this again another way, a lot more tasteful. And it's going to be some Fortnite character looking thing. But he's all friendly and jovial. Why not make a Justin Bieber like this? Why not make a Katy Perry like this? Why need humans anymore? And so this to me was very interesting because, again, and I'm talking about for industries and labels, if you're just trying to pump a product, why actually deal with somebody that has to grow, develop, and learn how to sing when you can actually do this crap over here? And then these Fortnite babies, sorry kids, but these Fortnite babies are eating it up. And so all of his posts, just super hype beast, weird stuff. Gucci wrapped, what? But these kids here, it's just another skin from a game.
Yes. Yeah. It's DLC.
Yes, DLC.
It's DLC.
Bro.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. So these kids, they know that they know it's not really a human, but they don't care. They live in that world anyway. So this wasn't Meka wasn't for the seasoned hip hop veterans.
No, of course not.
Yeah, this was for the new wave. All right, the new humans, Fortnite babies, that's out here, that's asking their parents so they can download another pack. More skins. This is what we're doing. And by the way, side note, bro. Side note. Every game has an in-game purchase at this point, and I'm over it. So I mean, just
one of the reasons, there's two reasons why I stopped playing video games. The first reason is, years ago I was into gaming, and the place that I lived in got broken into. They stole all my stuff, and so I just never recovered after that. Like I'm not gonna be buying all of these consoles and all of these games and stuff no more. I did eventually buy a PS4, but that was because there was just two games that I had to play on PS4 that started on PS3, so I had to finish the story out. But the other reason why I stopped playing is because video gaming to me just seems like the biggest cash grab. Like it's not enough now to spend $60 on the game. You spend $60 on the game and you get nothing. 2 weeks later, you got to spend $30 on some DLC, on some content that you need in order to keep up. Because if you don't buy it, everybody else is buying it. You ain't gonna be able to keep up. Like I can't keep up with that stuff. So I just stopped buying video games because of that. Like the internet has just changed everything. They can just drop something into a game, charge you $50 for it, and keep. You bought the same game 5 years ago, but they just keep updating it with new content, and so you'll just keep. It's another way to make the most amount of money as possible, but but even beyond that, man, even beyond that, I just, I look at, no, this is a generational thing. It's
Mhm.
not for the seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't think of that particular angle, but I do definitely see that this was, this could very well have been like a test dummy type situation where essentially this project was put out as a bit of a focus group type deal
Mhm,
to see
mhm,
what can we learn from this so
mhm.
that we can do it again but have people not get mad about it.
How far can we
um
go?
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
but it's unfortunate to me that our this generation, man, like we're so gullible to the point where we will follow this stuff and support this stuff because people don't even realize the way that these algorithms on these internets work. You don't have to physically spend your money in order to be a part of the purchasing ecosystem of this. All you need to do is provide your location, your IP address. Like all of these data points are invaluable pieces of information to these companies,
Mhm.
and they're going to use those bits of information as leverage to make money off of you, whether you even realize it or not. So it's just crazy that we're seeing this stuff play out. Where now we're at the point where we have AI rappers. Like, how does this contribute to? Like, I'm not anti AI. How is it contributing to society? Like, what where I'm in favor of the AIs, like you said, the AIs that build art or that can detect weather patterns and help
Yeah.
fix the environment and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But AI rap, this stuff to me is just weird. This is just new age weirdo stuff to me. And spare me with the outrage and the backlash. Where were you 30 years ago when this
Thank
was
you.
going on for real?
Thank
And
you,
y'all
man.
had nothing to say because y'all are addicted to this music. You're addicted to it. And now we done got other groups of people who aren't black on the heron, shooting it up directly in their veins with the needle. What do you think they gonna do? They addicted to it just like you. You can use the words and copy the behavior, but they can't. You can make your people look bad, but they can't. Really, to me, there's no difference. Like I don't see the difference. Honestly, I really
No,
don't.
dog.
So,
No,
so, so
we did. People got to talk about that, and they don't
yeah.
want to. But no, you're right. They got to
And,
talk
and
about
so and so I'm just like, spare me with the outrage. you know we dug ourselves this hole when we were complicit with allowing our culture, our entire way of life, to become synonymous with this music that purports self-destructive
Thank you.
behavior.
Thank
So
you.
like, it's one thing if the music was more balanced and there were more portrayals of good and bad behavior, because then I'll take the balance. But there's an overabundance of the self-destructive aspects of it, and there's not enough of a celebration of the supportive aspects of it. And we've allowed those self-destructive aspects to become synonymous with our entire way of life, as if that's what we're all about. And we furthermore packaged it as a product to be sold to everybody. It's a
Exactly.
good, it's a service. It's
Mhm.
no different than going to the mall and buying Yeezy Gap.
All right.
Like, people are wearing this music the same way that they wear Yeezy Gap hoodies. To me, it's the same. Like,
Right.
so like, I literally look at it as the same, bro. I really do look at it as the same. So like, if a white person can wear Yeezy Gap, then a white person can buy music, say the N word, all of that. I don't see the difference. If a white
Mhm.
person can buy Yeezy Gap, then you know Capitol Records can do YN Mecca or whatever this thing is. And I feel like we shouldn't get mad unless we're going to be willing to go to the source and talk about what's really real.
No, bro, all facts, man. And it's just hard to respect people that say, do as I say, but not as I do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to respect people like that. And that's all the angry people do. And it's like, oh yeah. It's like, what you so mad about? But you use that word so derogatory too. You don't just you always use it as a term of endearment, you know. And so my whole thing, man, with all of that stuff, bro, is it's definitely a trained behavior as well. It's a trained behavior, but man, people really gotta snap out of it, bro. It is, but I think it's a trained behavior because I grew up being extra sensitive to certain racial stuff because everything was racial in my world, And so it wasn't until I grew up, realized what life is. First of all, if I'm a living creature, if I'm a physical creature, so me personally, everybody has their own spiritual beliefs, but me, I personally think that I'm a avatar, and I have a soul inhabiting that avatar. Everybody says, "Oh, my body's just a vessel." Well, that's what it is. And so since I'm aware that I'm not my avatar, I'm my soul, then why would I get offended about anything that people say about stuff associated with my avatar? So once I did this thing, because I was watching videos, gurus, and stuff like that, just for see what the hell people talking about in the world. And one dude was talking about meditation, all this stuff, blah blah blah. And one of his exercises, he said, everything that you think you are, tell yourself that you're not that. This is how you remove your ego. So everything that you think you are, say that you're not. And then so, I went down the line, I'm not a brother, I'm not a son, I'm not, I started saying all these things. I'm not a college graduate. And then I said, I'm not black. And when I said that, for whatever reason, that was the most alleviating sentence I've ever said in my entire life, is that I wasn't black at that time, at least. And I was like, then when I thought about it, it was like, the only way I can be black is if I live here. I don't live here. I'm from somewhere else. I'm just down here. And what the world told me is that you're black and be triggered about blackness. And anything that anybody says about being black, you need to be triggered and upset about it. Because my whole thing about releasing my ego was to not be mad no more, not be upset about this over there or whatever. Because I got tired of being upset. And so what gets upset? What gets triggered? Your ego gets triggered, bruised, and all this other stuff. And one thing that they done told the black community is you need to be sensitive about this, that. And when you have all of these things that you need to be worried about, what are you actually going to go do? Because you're so worried about, oh, I saw what you did there. Oh, yeah, I'm watching you. It's like, bro, they're living their life. You're sitting here watching them to do whatever. Yeah, you caught them this time. Seek ye shall find. You're wasting your time with that. And so when I told myself that, hey, wake up, bro. You are living in a matrix where there's all kinds of booby traps and tricks. And one of those tricks is you are black. You're African American, and you need to be offended and triggered when it comes to X, Y, and Z. And so once I had to remove myself from that, then I had a whole nother line of thinking. And so that, I already had some type of ways of how I was being programmed, but now I had a new sense of, nah, man, fuck that. I don't care about that. And so these situations, when I hear somebody say something, something happens, and then automatically, you said the what word? They got all the passion in the world for that, right? Let somebody that's not black kill somebody that's black, and there's all kinds of issues there. But it's free Dante when Dante killed 2 people. So what are we doing? So once we actually take a step back and see how many double standards we got, as a collective, but when your culture is tied to a form of music, and the form of music that you don't even control. So that means you are a commercial product.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like how you said, you putting all stuff out all day long to be bought and consumed, and you mad that you getting treated like a product that's been used.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is screams irony. When they that's why I was shocked when they came out, and I was like, so y'all mad about AI, but y'all ain't, so it's ridiculous, man. But yeah, man,
I agree.
This is definitely I got more. I think there's going to be more down the line.
Yeah.
And a real genius would have made a Justin Bieber first. I would have did that first.
Well, there wouldn't have been anything to outrage people about. Because the thing about the hip hop stuff is you have to know how to tread waters because you are dealing with the potential to offend people. If you had done it Justin Bieber, you're not going to do anything using Justin Bieber type AI rapper that's going to be offensive in any kind of way unless you, I don't know, unless you say something that's like, anti-Semitic or something. But
oh yeah,
what can you,
that'll
what
get
can you,
you.
yeah, it will. So like what can you do though outside of that if you're going to do it that way? I think they went the route that they went because hip hop number one is the most popular, which is a subject for another day. And so in order to be able to take advantage of much how much hip hop is no longer a subgenre, you have to be able to navigate it in such a way that you can do what you do without getting people mad. Because if you do it carelessly enough, you're going to get people mad. So that's why it was interesting when you brought up that whole idea about this being sort of a test ground type thing, because I do think that is entirely possible. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do think that is completely plausible.
Yeah.
I just think that this is the first iteration of this, and we're just going to see a lot of these AI type avatar like rappers coming down the pike. And like, what are you going to do? Get mad every time somebody makes a rapper version? Like, why? Oh, you'll be happy about it as long as it's a black person developing it, or as long as it's a black company that's doing it, then you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff to me is just weird. Like, I like, for the life of me, bro, I just don't understand how we choose to get outraged at stuff like this. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. But it's going to continue, and I just think it's weird. Like,
well,
I'm not with it. Like, I agree that it's minstrel. I agree that it is a caricature. I agree that it plays to low-hanging fruit. However, it is low-hanging fruit from a tree that we planted.
And we pick from every damn day with joy.
Seriously, you eat it every time. Every
day.
time you stream the music, every time, like, what do you want? Like, I don't know.
Like, honestly, bro, all this city girl stuff. So the girls are doing it now. So it's like everybody's on the minstrel show. And so it's like, yeah, man, you're absolutely right, bro. So hopefully those can see. And if they were on the fence or didn't even think about these concepts, hey man, you might want to think about these. Because at this point, this is gonna be more. There's going to be more. This was definitely, I think there was a stress test, like you said, but I there's going to be more exploitation. So get used to it. Get used to it.
Yes, it is. It will continue to become more pervasive for sure. It's not going to stop. So I don't know what you're getting mad over. Like, I really don't understand what you're getting mad about. Like, this is your culture. This is what you asked for. Like, are you not entertained? Like, this is what you wanted.
I'm hip hop. I'm hip hop.
And like, listen, and don't get it twisted. I grew up listening to the music, and for the most part, I still listen to the music. But I also don't get mad when a white person uses the N-word.
Nah, come on.
I don't. Like, I don't get mad when a white person uses the N-word. I don't get mad when I see a white girl with cornrows and hoop earrings.
Like,
I don't get mad. Yeah, like I don't get mad when I see the white boy talking slang and got 3 to the bottom and wearing the clothes. That stuff doesn't trigger me.
This is my favorite one. No, yeah. Go ahead, man. This is my favorite one. That we the ones that originated. They always stealing what we doing. And and it's like, oh, okay. So you not doing nothing they made? You not wearing nothing they made? Your hairstyle ain't like that? Stop. You sound ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So it is honestly so backwards. And just like how we were talking about from the other thing with the girl, I said, hey, you know, chapter 1 verse. I mean, these people are pulling from the same damn book too. Of
Yeah.
that should get me triggered. That should
Yeah.
get me triggered. And you know,
Yeah.
and they just like, and it's like you're not even making sense.
Yeah.
Oh, they got to let that girl wear braids.
Yeah.
She want to look funky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it look a little
Yeah.
crazy, but she
If
doing her
anything,
thing.
if anything, you should take pride in the fact that people want to copy you.
Isn't it the
If
greatest
it's
form of
that
flattery?
if it's that bad because you didn't make it by us for us in the beginning, you made it a product. If you make it a product, people are gonna buy it. That's
Come
it,
on.
man. People are gonna buy it. You
Hey,
made the music a product. You made it this way. You did this. Now you want to get upset and offended because people are buying the product.
and they should have been upset and offended years ago when
Long time ago.
when these guys were talking about selling drugs to your aunties and
Yeah.
shooting your cousins.
Yeah.
You should have been mad then.
Yes.
So don't get mad in 2022 when there's an avatar running around hollering about as AI and it's talking about killing your cousins and selling dope to your auntie. So why get mad now? That's what I'm saying. Like, stop.
Yeah.
You've been upset. Hey, there's still stuff that you can be upset about now that they didn't make a robot for now.
Right.
So, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So get on the right page.
Yeah.
And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just get so passionate.
No, I get it.
so
Yeah.
passionate.
I know, man. I have had many conversations with other black people like this before, and sometimes you'll put them. Sometimes you can let them know, and then a light bulb goes off. You could tell, and they realize, like, why have I been thinking like this whole time? But then you'll have a lot of us is just like, no, I just want. I have a theory that, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say.
Mhm.
I think that people relish the opportunity. Like there's some sort of cathartic, pleasurable release that people get from being mad, from being offended. And I think those who have been given the most reasons to be offended are most susceptible to that. So, like you talked about, where it's been impressed upon us to be offended by X, Y, and Z. So we've been given a lot of reasons to be offended by stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So because we've been given a lot of reasons to be offended by stuff, we are most susceptible to desiring to feel that cathartic, pleasurable release via being offended. Does that make sense? So like, and so I think a lot of that's what's going on. Is just we just desire to feel that dopamine rush that we get from feeling mad and offended and talking about it and voicing it. And we're most susceptible to that because we've been given so many things to be mad and offended by. We've been told that we are to be triggered by so many different things, that we are just so susceptible to that pleasurable feeling. Honestly, like I think it's a dopamine rush. It's similar to the high that you get from doing certain drugs, where the brain just releases the chemical in your body. And there's been there's been research done on this, where there is a similar dopamine release in the brain that is comparable to the dopamine release in the brain that is experienced when you shoot drugs, like when you shoot heroin, particularly. There's been research done on that. It's similar to the dopamine rush that people experience whenever they post on social media and they get a lot of likes and comments. It's the same thing. It all comes from the same pleasure sense in the brain. So, food for thought for anybody who didn't know that. But we'll go ahead and close out, man. Good stuff, man. Good commentary. I don't know where things are going. I just like to give my opinion on it. It is what it is.
We living in the future, baby.
Yeah. We are definitely living in the future for real. And while we're living in the future, I'm going to ask that you like and subscribe wherever you are watching this video. If you are watching this video on the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get the notification whenever new content is posted to the channel. I certainly appreciate it. Please share this video wherever you are watching it. You can also follow the page on Instagram. I mean, you can follow the platform rather on Instagram at Con Approach, in addition to following me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. If you are watching this video on the Meta page, on the Facebook page, hit the like button, like the page, hit the like button, share the video, and also like the page itself. You can also at me there as well. I'm available anywhere and everywhere. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Certainly appreciate everybody for supporting logical content and for supporting this channel as we continue to iron out kinks and make this stuff better, make the videos, make the content better. We are in this for the long haul, so I certainly appreciate you joining us for the ride.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS, not Dogan. All right, it's Dogon SS and not doggone. All right, subscribe to the channel, man. Like my dog JV Win said, man. And we appreciate you spending time with us, man. You know, we just kicking the shits, but I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Yeah. And so, like you said, like and subscribe, hit that bell notification. And if you would like to follow me, you can go ahead and do that at Dogon_SS. All right, that's on Instagrams. All right, and then here on YouTube is just Dogon SS. Follow your boy. And if you're into fantasy footballs and stuff like that, the season is beginning, and I will crush and take down. All right, the name's Dogon SS over there at DraftKings, and what's the other thing over there? FanDuel. So just hit your boy up, look for your boy, and like I said, man, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it even keel, man, because hey, if you're too high or you're too low, you might get offended or too happy about rap, about your culture and stuff like that. But if you keep it even keel, well, at that point, man, you're not swayed in either direction. You can flow like water. All right. So I say it every week, man. But hey, it helps me get through a lot of this crazy stuff, and it might help you out as well. So signing off, man. Appreciate you guys for watching.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's nothing left to say. So on that note, appreciate you for watching this video. We will see you next time. And until then, peace.
Peace.